start our 3D square, open a new file from template on SketchUp. You can select simple and inches or architectural and inches, and I'm going to choose architectural and inches. The only main difference is it doesn't have a blue sky. You can delete the figure. You're going to import your scan that you did. To do that, you're going to say File, Import. When the Finder window comes up, you'll navigate over to Downloads or to your folder. You're going to select your image and select Import. When that happens, bring your image over here to the corner and click and then drag away. You don't have to drag too far for this assignment because we're going to resize the image anyway. This square is going to be 3 inches by 3 inches. And to do that, to resize it, you'll need to take the tape measure tool, zoom into where you think the left and top side would meet, which might be somewhere out here. Click, drag along the axes and zoom back into the area where the right side and top would meet. Go ahead and click that and type in 3 inches, which is 3 quotes, and click enter. You'll get a little dialog box that will say, do you want to resize the model? And you're going to say yes. Now you'll notice that all of a sudden the screen goes blank. You can always find the axes by clicking the Zoom Intense tool here, which is the magnifying glass with the 3 arrows. If you really want to check your size of your design, you can use the Dimensions tool and kind of click approximately to where those ends were, and you can see that this is 3 inches. We're using this as an underlay for our design. So the next thing we have to do is to create a square over this. To do that, we're going to change our orientation so that we're looking straight down on the design. We're going to go to Camera, go to Standard View, select Top, and you'll notice that there's a little bit of the blue line showing here, which is telling us that even though it's looking straight, we're still looking at it in perspective. So I'm going to go up to Camera again and uncheck Perspective. Now we know we're looking at this straight on from the top view. Next, we're going to create a square that's 3 inches by 3 inches. To do that, we're going to click our rectangle tool. We're going to click and drag from the top left down to the top right. Let go and type in 3 inches, comma, 3 inches, and click enter. Next, we can check the dimension again with the dimension tool. So let's do that and just make sure that our square is the right size. I'm clicking escape to get out of that tool. I only want to see it just for a second. Next, we need to set up where our slot is going to be because that has to remain consistent across the entire design. To do that, we're going to use the tape measure tool, and we're going to create a line that comes to the middle in the vertical direction and a line in the horizontal direction so that we know where the halfway marks are. Remember, when you pull a guideline, you want to start the cursor on edge. You're going to click, pull across, and then use inferencing, which means to take your cursor and drag it across the line until you get the cyan dot, which tells you you are in the middle of that measured edge. Next, I'm going to do the same thing, but I'm going to go the opposite direction. So I'm going to select on edge, bring my cursor down, and wait for it to snap on the cyan dot. Now you can see we have 4 equal quadrants. Our slot is 1/8 of an inch wide. So if I split that in 2, it means that each side is going to be 1/16. So I'm going to do that same technique. Click on edge of the middle line, pull over, and type in 1/16 of an inch, but it may show up for you automatically. Then I'm going to do the same thing, but pull on the opposite direction and type in 1/16 quote and click enter. Now I have an idea of where this slot is going to go. So I'm going to take my pencil tool and I'm going to zoom in to where the guideline or construction line intersects with the line at the top. I'm going to pull it straight down on the axes, in this case the green, down to where the other two, the bottom guideline and side guideline meet. I'm going to pull it across on the red, and then I'm going to zoom out and zoom back up to the top. And I can tell that these are straight because when I'm drawing these lines, I am seeing red or green. Now I'm going to delete this line here so that I make the slot. Now I can see part of my design underneath, so don't get disoriented about that. Next, I'm going to take my eraser tool and I'm just going to erase the guidelines so that they aren't in the way. Now I have to make the border. Remember that the border is going to be what holds this design together. So I'm going to use the offset tool and I'm going to mouse along the edge so I get the red box. I'm going to click and drag in and type in 1/8 inches, so 1/8 of an inch. This is going to be the border that has to be there. Next, I can't see my design anymore, so I need to figure out a way to show that, and I can do that by going up to the View menu, clicking Face Style, and clicking X-ray so that I can see underneath to my sketch. Remember that I told you it's not perfect every time. So if it's a little bit off, you can make the corrections now when you trace this design using the drawing tools. So you can use any of these tools, the pencil tool, the freehand tool, rectangles, circles. If you use circles, remember you want to add a lot of sides to it. So you would type in the circle radius and then type in 50s for 50 sides so that it's smooth. In this case, I'm going to have to trace this design, so I'm going to use the freehand tool. To do that, I'm going to just make sure I'm clicking on the edge, and then I'm going to carefully trace or attempt to trace this design, and I'm going to double check to make sure that I actually cut this. And you can see that when I select the different surfaces, these two surfaces have been cut by this line. And that's good, that's what we want. So I'm going to come down here and now I'm going to do this side. Remember, Command Z is undo. Now, if we were to test this, we're going to see that I didn't cut the surface, and that's because this line is not connected. So I'm going to come in here and I'm going to pull that line and zoom in so I can see that I connected it. And now you can see that that's okay. And I'm going to come in here and get rid of any extraneous lines that I don't need, like that one. At this point, you could turn the X-ray off. So go to View, Face Style, and just uncheck X-ray. And it can help you see things a lot better. I'm also going to delete these lines that are in between, because anywhere there's a line, that means the laser is going to go through. So if you don't want the laser to go through, you have to remove that line. And that includes the lines where it touches the edge of the border. So we wouldn't actually see a line there because otherwise it would fall out of the border if it were cut by the laser cutter in that area. So here's my design, and I'm going to leave it like this right now. And what I'd like you to do is save this.